I used to believe certainty was a kind of armor. If you wore it long enough, nothing sharp could reach you. I had built my life on that belief, on clean lines and clear labels, and everyone around me seemed to agree it fit. I was engaged to Madeline Brooks, planning a spring wedding, joking with my best friend Ryan Coleman about seating charts and open bars. When people asked who I was, the answer came easily. I didn't hesitate. I didn't doubt. Then Lucas Reed entered the picture, and certainty began to feel like something thinner than I remembered. Lucas joined our team in early autumn, when the city's edges softened and the air carried a restless energy. He wasn't loud or showy. He listened more than he spoke, and when he did speak, he chose words as if they mattered. We worked late the first week he arrived, a deadline pressing us together in a quiet office while the building emptied around us. I noticed the way he paused before answering questions, how his eyes tracked the room as if reading between the walls. It wasn't attraction, not then. It was recognition, the strange pull of someone who seemed to understand without being told. Madeline and I had our rhythms by that point. We moved through weekends efficiently, splitting errands, sharing meals, rehearsing a future that looked good from the outside. She loved me in a steady, practical way, and I loved her back with gratitude and intention. Still, I caught myself saving stories from my day for later, as if waiting for the right audience. When Lucas asked how my weekend went, I told him the truth. When Madeline asked, I gave her the summary that it unsettled me. That difference point one evening, as we packed up after another long day, Lucas mentioned his boyfriend in passing, no drama, no apology, just a fact woven into a sentence. I nodded, said something neutral, and felt a small, inexplicable shift inside my chest. It wasn't disapproval. It was awareness, like a door creaking open in a house I thought I knew by heart. I told myself it meant nothing. People said things all the time that didn't change you. After that, we talked more. Not about work, not always. About books and music and the kind of lives people imagine when no one is watching. Lucas had a way of asking questions that felt gentle but exacting. He didn't pry, he waited. When I spoke, he didn't rush to respond. The space he gave made my words feel heavier, more honest. I began to look forward to those conversations in a way that felt private, even when they happened in plain sight. Ryan noticed before I did. He teased me about my new shadow, joked that I'd found a replacement best friend. I laughed along and dismissed it, but the comment lingered. At home, Madeline asked why I was checking my phone so often. I told her it was work. It wasn't a lie so much as an incomplete truth. The first time I realized I was hiding something, it scared me. I had always thought infidelity announced itself with grand gestures and obvious choices. This was quieter. It was choosing a longer route home so I could finish a conversation. It was deleting messages not because they were inappropriate, but because they felt too intimate to explain. I told myself I was protecting my relationship, that boundaries were flexible as long as no one crossed them. Lucas never crossed them. If anything, he respected them more than I did. When I mentioned my engagement, his expression softened, and he congratulated me without hesitation. He asked about Madeline with genuine curiosity, and I found myself describing her carefully, as if precision could preserve something fragile. The pressure built anyway. It lived in the pauses, in the moments when our eyes met and held a second too long before we both looked away. I began to notice the way he listened to me breathe before I spoke, the way my own voice changed when I said his name. These were small things, easy to dismiss, but they accumulated like interest. One Friday, a sudden system failure forced us to stay late while the rest of the team scattered into the weekend. The city outside the windows darkened, lights blinking on in distant buildings. We ordered takeout and worked side by side in a companionable silence that felt earned. At some point, Lucas leaned back and asked if I was happy. That it was a simple question, and it landed harder than it should have. I answered quickly, listing reasons instead of feelings. He nodded, accepting the answer without comment, and something in me relaxed and tightened all at once. I realized I wanted him to ask again. When we finally shut down our computers, the hour was late and the rain had started, a steady drumming that made leaving feel abrupt. Lucas mentioned his apartment was closer than mine, offered his couch if I didn't want to drive through it. The offer was casual, considerate. I hesitated, thinking of Madeline asleep at home, of the life waiting for me if I said no. That I said yes anyway, telling myself it was practical, that there was nothing dangerous about shelter and conversation. As we stepped into the rain, the city blurred around us, and for the first time since I could remember, the future I'd planned felt less certain than the night unfolding in front of me.